Hey guys, in this video I'll be going over taxi, takeoff, and landing for the Mirage F1CE. First, make sure your nose wheel steering is in high sensitivity mode. So come down here and this button, make sure it's pushed in so it's easier to turn. Then you turn off your parking brake. So on the left, this yellow lever, you just push it in. Then to start moving, you just push your throttle forward a little bit. To stop yourself, you can press on the brake pedals. If you want to turn left, you push the left pedal, and if you want to turn right, you push the right pedal. So if I want to turn left here, I push the left pedal, and you can see the plane is going left. Now let's go over takeoff. First, put your flaps all the way down. The flap lever is this red one right next to your throttle, so you push it all the way back. By the way, you can check what position your flaps are at by looking at this panel right here. So if you look on the right side, you can see this bottom wing is glowing, so that means our flaps are all the way down. Next, you want to check your trims. It's kind of hard to see, so if you click on the bottom of the stick, it gets it out of the way. For these three lines here, you want to make sure they're aligned so your trim is set. So you can see this one is not aligned, so I'm going to use the trim switch on my stick to align it. Then you can click right here to put your stick back. Next, you want to put the nose wheel steering into low sensitivity mode. Right down here, you pull this out. When we take off, you want to check your speed. So you're going to be watching your speed with this gauge right here. You're going to put your throttle all the way to full burner, and once you get to around 120 knots, you're going to pull the stick back and point the nose up. You want to point the nose up about 10 degrees. If you look at this meter here, you can see this white bar shows what degree your nose is at. Then, once you get to around 150 knots, the plane should lift off the runway. Don't worry about getting the numbers exactly right. Once you take off a couple times, you'll kind of just get the feel of it. So let's do it now. I'm going to put the throttle all the way to full burner. So there's 120 knots, so I'm going to pull the stick back about 10 degrees. And there's 150, and I'm off the runway. Once you're off the runway, you want to raise your gear and your flaps. To raise your gear, you come over here, and you click this red lever to unlock it, and then you click this one to raise your gear up. And then you bring your flaps up, and the last thing to do is turn off the afterburner. The way that you'll know the afterburner's off is because your throttle will jump down. So when I bring the throttle back, you can see it kind of jumped down there, so that means my burner's off. The other way you can tell if the burner's on is by looking at these lights here. When the burner's on, this green light will be on, and when I turn the burner off, the light goes out. Alright, now let's go over landing. First, you need to put the HUD into landing mode. On the right side, there's this switch right here. So you push it all the way up, and that will put the HUD into landing mode. And you should see this yellow square right here. This yellow square is called the velocity vector. It just shows where your plane is going. Then you want to look at your speed gauge, and you want to slow down to around 250 knots. Once you're at about 250 knots, you can lower your flaps halfway down. If you're going super fast, one way to slow down quickly is to use the air brakes. The air brake switch is on the throttle right here. This is what the air brakes look like. Keep in mind, you can't actually click this. You have to bind it to your keyboard or to your stick. So in the binding menu, the binding for the air brake is just called air brake on and air brake off. So like I said, you slow down to 250 knots and you can put your flaps halfway down. And then you need to slow down to around 215 knots. Once you're at about 215 knots, then you can lower the flaps all the way down, and you can lower the gear. And once you've done that, you want to kind of just bring the plane down and just smoothly land on the runway. When you're coming in, you want to have the velocity vector on the runway, and your nose should be at about 10 degrees. Don't get super focused on making sure you're at the perfect angle and perfect speed and everything. Once you land a couple times, you'll kind of just get the feel of how to do it naturally. Once you touch down, you can point the nose up about 10 degrees to help you slow down. And once you slow down to around 120 knots, you can gently lower the nose back onto the runway. So once all 3 wheels are on the ground, there's 2 ways you can slow down. The first way is to just use your toe brakes. And the other way is if you're landing on a really short runway, or if you need to slow down really quickly, you can use the parachute. To open the parachute, you pull back this green lever here. So you click on it, and that's what the parachute looks like. Once you've slowed down enough, you can click on the lever again to cut the parachute off. Last thing, once you've slowed down on the runway, you want to put the nose wheel steering back to high sensitivity mode so it's easier to turn. So you just come back down here and you just click this. So now you can turn faster. And that's how to land the Mirage F1CE. Thanks for checking out this video, and I'll see you later.